Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. Today, we'll be talking about DFC, our Dockerfile converter tool, and I'm very excited to present this session. So, before getting started, who am I? I'm Erica. I'm a developer experience engineer at Chainguard. I work at docs, demos, workshops, webinars, and things like that. I have a background in software development and also DevOps, and I wrote the public-facing user guide for DFC. I've been trying and testing the tool since this started development. So yeah, today I'll be presenting about it. So what's on the agenda? I will start with an introduction. Good, great. Okay, so what's on the agenda today? I will start with a quick introduction to Chainguard containers. And then I will talk about how DFC works, how the conversion works. Then I will talk a little bit about installation, basic usage. And then I will share some advanced use cases. So let's get started. And there will be also some demos along the way. So what is DFC? DFC is Chainguard's Dockerfile converter. It's a convenient CLI tool to convert Docker files to use Chainguard container images. It supports Debian Ubuntu with apt package manager, also Alpine, converting APK-based Alpine to Chainguard. Red Hat also, UB images, and it converts entire Docker files, but also isolated from and run lines. We'll see that in the demo. And one thing that is very important is that DFC works offline, which means it doesn't connect to remote registry. It doesn't need to have an authentication to access your registry and things like that. It's an offline operation. It's not going to share any data, not connect to any remote API or anything like that. It supports Chainguard organizations and custom registries. There are many features, many flags that you can use to customize the behavior of DFC, what it will output. You can create custom mappings for images and packages, which we'll also see soon. And it can be incorporated also into some tooling. If you have already tools in Go, you can incorporate DFC as a Go library. So it's also useful for creating, to convert programmatically your Docker files or like in batches and things like that. If you have many Docker files, this can be useful. DFC also has an MCP server, and we'll see how it works with Claude Code at the end. And why convert to Chainguard images? I know that a lot of people here are familiar already with Chainguard containers, but some people might be new. So I wanted also to include a slide talking a little bit about Chainguard containers. So Chainguard containers are minimal, low to zero CVE container images. And they are based on an APK Linux distro that we created specifically to run on containers. Other base distros are very bloated with software that you don't need to run on containers. And that's why we created Wolfie, our open source distro, and Chainguard OS. So these are APK based, similar to Alpine, but we build all our packages from source, so we are able to patch them very quickly when there is a CVE and a patch is released. So this rolls out to our images on a daily basis, so you will always get fresh images free of vulnerabilities. Or like one or two sometimes. It depends, of course, on the upstream project. But as soon as a patch is available, this gets patched really quickly. And so the images also include SBOMs, provenance attestations, so you can verify the build environment, everything, all the details of how and where the image was built. And this shows a comparison between the Python image, is a popular container image, what you get from Docker Hub versus what we get from us in terms of vulnerabilities. And at the bottom is the node image, also a huge difference. So that is the context that you needed before we start converting. So how DFC works. I will explain a little bit how each thing is read and converted, how each line is interpreted. So we have like, there are three main things, I would say. The from lines, which is the base image, APK installation of packages, this sort of thing, and also the user details like the commands to add users, and also some details about user privilege. So let's start talking about the from line, how this is converted. So DFC will change the registry, of course, to match Chainguard's registry formats. So if you are a customer, then you have your own organization's private registry, and then you can include that. If you are using the free tier, then you're gonna use the Chainguard org. On top of that, DFC also may change the image name based on a mappings file. I will talk a little bit about tags also in a moment. But the from line, the base image, is converted using a set of rules, but the registry change is the main thing, right? So some images are not the equivalent, the name is not the same, so there is a mappings file to help with that. Package installations. So DFC will modify package manager instructions because Chainguard containers use APK, the APK package manager. For Debian base, which is a very common base image, you have APT. So DFC needs to change those lines to be compatible with APK. Also DNF, depending on your base system. But DFC will detect those instructions and convert to use APK. Some packages also have mappings because it can have a different name, some packages. So the mappings file also serves for establishing some mappings, to convert the package to the right name in Wolfie and Chainguard OS. And there is also the user settings, let's say the configuration, the user changes. Yes. So Chainguard containers run as non-root user by default. So that is to make it more secure, because then the user has less privileges, and that's very important. So if you have some instructions like installing packages or making copying files to privileged directories, then it will fail because of the lack of privileges on a non-root user. So when DFC detects that there is a run line, it will add the user root directive at the beginning of the Dockerfile to change to the root user. Another change that is important is when you are using APT, Debian, you usually have user add commands and also group add, and this needs to be converted to add user and add group. So DFC does that for you automatically. You could also install the shadow package to use the same commands, but the busy box that comes with Wolf and Chainguard OS has by default the user add command to add users and the group add commands. So, and that's the change. So the next, here. Yes, so let's talk about tag mappings. For Chainguard base, we always use the latest tag because Chainguard base is a base image and it already has a shell and the package manager by default. So it's different from other images that have variants. So this is something important. Our images, most of them have a dev variant that is a full image. with the tools that you need to build packages, to build install dependencies, and create a more custom image. And the regular latest tag is usually a distroless image. And what is a distroless image? A distroless image does not contain a package manager and does not contain a shell. So these are meant to be for runtimes. So DFC will observe and will detect what you have in your Dockerfile to evaluate which image it should use. In the case of Chainguard base, it's an image that already has a shell and a package manager. So in the latest version, so whenever it's Chainguard base, use the latest tag. When the tag is not specified, then it should use latest. Or if a tag is not semantic, it's not like with a 1.2.3 version, 1.2.3, so it will use also latest. But there is an exception. If any run instructions are detected, then it's not going to use latest. It's going to use latest dev, which is the full image that has the build tools, APK manager and APK toolchain, and also a shell. If a tag is specified, then it will truncate semantic to major.minor. And also for any version except Chainguard base, the dev suffix is added, as what I mentioned before for the latest. If there are run instructions, then the dev suffix is added. So there are a few examples there. For instance, from node 14 will be converted by default to CGR dev org. The org is a placeholder. We'll talk about that in a moment. It will be converted to 14 dev if the stage has run commands. If not, it would be just node 14 in the Chainguard registries. And there are a few other examples, but in general, that's the dev suffix is only used when there are run instructions, for instance, installing a package or running a command to add a user, things like that, that require elevated privileges. Okay, so I wanted to show first how it works. So it's no mystery, like it's not a shady process. Everything works offline. There is no API to connect to, and that's how it works. Now I'm gonna show more commands, how to install, how to use the basic stuff, how it operates. So first of all, to install DFC, you can install it via Homebrew or from source using a Go environment. That's my preferred way. I'm on Linux and I don't use Homebrew here, so I use the Go install method. I already have the Go environment here, so that's what I use. And you can also run DFC with Docker. In a Docker run command, we have a DFC image. You can use the Chainguard container image, DFC Chainguard container, to convert other images to use Chainguard containers. But this requires setting up a volume, some other things like that. So it's also totally fine, but I prefer using the real deal, like install with the Go method and just run it locally. Okay, so this is how you install it. And this is a basic usage, a few examples. One thing also that is very important is that DFC will not change, modify your Dockerfiles by default. Only if you add a flag to make in-place changes. But by default, DFC will output the converted results to your standard output. Basic usage is basic. The DFC and the Dockerfile, it doesn't need to have the name Dockerfile. Any file that is a Dockerfile, it will convert. And the same, these two first commands are the same. You can also pipe the contents into DFC with a cat command or with an echo command. The first two examples show how to convert a file, a whole file. And we can also use the second example shows how to use an inline conversion to convert only a from line, for instance. So you can see what would be the equivalent image, for instance, if you would convert. And you can also convert a single run line to see how it would look like in an actual Dockerfile converted to use Chainguard containers. We will see demos now, okay? Let me change my screen. I think I might have to change again. Stop sharing. And yes, so I assume you can see my terminal. If not, you let me know. So here I have DFC installed 094. I updated it before this, so this should be the latest version. And I have here a few examples to share. First, I wanted to show how to. I have some notepad here with some commands to run. But yeah, just a basic usage inline from conversion. And I will show you how to customize. Also, in a moment, we have a slide for that. Then I will show in the second demo how to customize. So we have this example that converts a from node line. And then you see that it converted to the Chainguard registry, a basic example. And I also have this, this one is to convert run line that it updates the apt cache and installs a package. And this is how it would convert. So with APK, within the APK ecosystem, you don't have like an APK updates command. Instead, you can install a package and use the -- no cache flag, and this will work the same way. It will be the package manager APK will update the cache before installing the package. So this will be the equivalent command. Okay, so these are basic demos. Now I have a few others here. Let me see the PHP one. I think I have a basic one maybe here. Yes, well, kind of. Yeah, so to convert a whole Dockerfile, you can just run DFC Dockerfile. It will output to everything to your standard output. So here we had, I should have okay, let me catch it again. So here we are converting a Dockerfile based on the PHP 8.3 CLI. And we have commands to install Composer, dependencies, and then we have a user add and things like that. Like regular, we have also a user add command here. This is to set up a non-root user. And okay, DFC Dockerfile. And now we have here the equivalent here. So we are using PHP 8.3 dev because there are run instructions. So DFC detects that we need to run a user add commands. In this case, add user, because user add is on Debian. And then for APK BusyBox by default, we have the add user commands. So first, the converted from line, and then this remains the same because it's copying from the Composer image. And then we have also here the run add user commands converted from user adds to add user. And yes, here you can see that we have, this was already in the Dockerfile. That's why it's showing up here because the DFC it's hard to figure out where to change back to a regular system user. This was already in the Dockerfile anyways, because I had created here a user non-root. So this is here too. What it doesn't need to convert everything. So it remains the same when it doesn't need conversion. Maybe there's another example here. A Python one. Yes, let's see I think this one is simpler. I should have organized my folders better. So this is a simpler example of a Docker file from Python, and it just adds the main.py to the image, and then run pip install, and then sets up a entry point command. So let's see how DFC converts this. No, not this one. I forgot to. This is not the DFC. I run it with the wrong file. I have this is a multistage, the example that I will show later. Sorry. Yeah, this one. Okay. This one is the simpler Python Docker file. And this will convert to use Chainguard Python image. It changed to the dev suffix, use this dev suffix because we are using a image that we need an image that has the build tools to install the dependencies. And that's because there is a run instruction. So yes, that's how it works. Okay, so let's get back to the slides. I have a few other things to show, and then we get back for a few more demos. Yes, that's what I wanted to talk about, customizing behavior. Let's talk about how you can add some flags to customize the output produced by DFC. So sometimes you maybe use a proxy from Artifactory, for instance, and you need to customize the registry that you want to use. So you can use the registry flag for that. And then these will take precedence over the org that you set. That is not here, but I will show you also how to set the org. So instead of having the org placeholder, you can add the -- org flag, and then it will use what you specify as org. And then this registry change will take precedence over the org setting. You can also use a custom mappings file. So these will also take precedence over the default mappings file that DFC uses. So if you want to specify, use a specific image when converting, when changing, I will show you an example, a use case that is a valid use case and how it works in the demo in a moment. And you can also use JSON and JQ to get a list of all packages detected. This might be useful for programmatically doing things, running a loop, creating a bash script, maybe to convert a series of Docker files. So you might do something with JSON as well. Yes, let's go back to the terminal now. Okay, so the org. Let's see the org. With the simple Docker file again, because it's easier to observe. So this is what we did before, simple Python Docker file. So if you do --org Chainguard, then you will get, instead of the org placeholder, you get the full already the registry that you need. In this case, for using the free tier, you will use the org Chainguard. And if you are a customer, you have your own organization to specify here. So I'm going to show also the custom mappings file. It is very useful. So here I have a Docker file that is also PHP, but this is PHP FPM. So it's a Docker file to set up a web application, a PHP web application. And so in this case, we want to use the PHP FPM image. But if you convert it now, if you use the DFC Dockerfile, it will change to PHP latest dev because there are run instructions. So it will use the dev suffix, which is correct. But the image we want is the FPM image. We have another image for that. We have PHP latest FPM dev and non-dev. So we need to specify that whenever there are requests to convert a PHP image, PHP FPM tag image, we want to use PHP latest FPM. So this is how the custom mappings looks like. It's a very simple YML file. You have a node for images. You also have you can also add packages if you want. In this case, I am specifying that whenever a Docker file has a base image PHP FPM, then I want to use PHP latest FPM dev. Okay, so I think is custom. Let me see here on the slides again, because I forgot. Mappings. Yes, the flag is mappings. Mappings igual. Oops. So mappings is equals. Let's see. Yes, so this works. DFC Dockerfile minus mappings, and then the custom mappings file that you want to use. And so it gives you some debug info saying that it's lowering the custom mappings file. And then you see here the change. Now it is using the image we wanted to use. Instead of latest dev, it's going to be latest FPM dev. Okay, cool. So let me see what was the other example I have on the slides to refresh my memory. As the JSON, we can run this just to give you an idea of how it looks like. Yes, I'll come back here. So what I'm going to change is I'm going to use the -J flag here. Let me see. Yes, it's because this command will only show a list of the packages because I'm using JQ2. But if you don't, if you do only the, let's try just like this to see what it outputs. Yes, so it gives you the JSON with all the stuff. And you can use this programmatically maybe and convert hundreds or thousands of Docker files, imagine. Okay. Yes, let's get back. I still have few advanced examples to show. Yes. Okay, so I will talk briefly about these advanced usage scenarios. One way to use DFC is as a Go library, as I mentioned before. So you can include DFC in your Go tooling, and you can use, I'm not a Go developer, but I copied this from the README. By the way, DFC is open source, so you can go at see their GitHub and start it, by the way. But yeah, this is an example. You find more examples in their README. I know you can access the same way we did recently I run the last command I run to get JSON with all the contents that are parsed by DFC. How DFC sees your Docker file, you get access to the nodes, the packages, the list of packages, and the raw contents. You can also access these this data programmatically from your Go codes using DFC as a library. This is an example. And the other thing that is super fun is using the DFC MCP server. So we have also an MCP server. It's you can have a look. It's on the repo. You can see the MCP server folder. You will find all the files there, everything, and some also in the instructions to use it. But basically, you will. This is running locally. I tested it. I'm not a heavy cloud user, but I tested this. So you will build the MCP server locally with Go tooling, or you can also run it with Docker. But yeah, I chose to run it locally, and then you add to your project. In this example is with Claude Code, but it could be another AI agent that you already use and supports MCP servers. So for Cloud, I added like this. I actually added it for my user system-wide. I started trying it added per project, but I prefer to add it already system-wide. So I used the command in the bottom. And now I can ask it to convert the files for me, and it will explain what it did. It's very interesting. I will show a demo of how it works. Yes, it's time for this other demo, final demo. Okay, so let's see one interesting I'm gonna go for the multistage. I forgot to show a multistage demo. Let's first convert and see. I had converted before, but so yeah, if you want to, of course, you can pipe the contents of your converted outputs to a new file. This is a multistage Python Dockerfile example. Let me briefly explain what a multistage build is, multistage Dockerfile. So this builds your image in two different stages. The first stage is used to build your application. So it will install the dependencies. It will download the pip dependencies and do some other things if you need to. And the last stage will be the runtime. So it's based on a slimmer image, and it will have only the packages you need. So this is a common way to create slimmer images, and it's very useful when working with distroless images to have these two stages. First, you build the application, and then you create a final runtime stage based on a distroless image, and you copy dependencies over to the runtime. So in this example, we have a Python multistage build. We have a few commands. We have a run command to install curl and git on the first stage. And the second stage also has a run command. So I want to show you this difference. Let me copy this, and I will remove. First, I will show an example removing this line. Actually, you can just comment. Okay. Okay, I will comment this run line here, and then let's see how DFC converts it. It will bring the commented line. But what I wanted to show is that the first stage uses the Python 3.9 dev to build. As a builder, it will build. It adds the user root directive because we are installing packages, and then set env run Python and copy the requirements, run pip install, so it installs the dependencies. Then we have the final stage as a slim runtime, and it will, because the run line is commented out, so we don't have an actual run instruction in this stage. The Dockerfile converter, DFC, will use the Python 3.9, not the dev, and we will not add the dev suffix to this because it doesn't need. You can use the distroless image in this case. We are only copying the dependencies and the main.py file, so we don't need to install anything, so we can use the distroless. Fine. Now, the other example, let's uncomment this, and then you'll see that DFC will now add change to the dev image. So now we have this. So we have the run line. So we really need to use an image that has a APK and has also a shell. So we also change to user root here, so we can run APK here and install the packages. So this is a difference. You can clearly see how it behaves based on what you have on your Dockerfile instructions. Okay, so this is I don't have, let me delete this order. I will open Clouds now, Clouds. We only have now the Dockerfile, the same, still the same, because I did not save, I did not overwrite it or anything. So I already have added the MCP server. So if I go and Claude MCP list, it will check the MCP server. It will check that the DFC is added as a MCP server and it's connected, working. Okay, so we can now run Claude. So I don't need to specifically ask to run the Claude MCP or anything. I can just ask it to convert and it will already use it. So convert the Docker file in this directory to use Chainguard containers and save. Because if you don't tell it to save in another file, it will overwrite your file. I tested this before. To save the results to Dockerfile.converted. At least on my previous test, it overwritten. I let it overwrite it. It asked me and I let it, but I wanted to save it to another file now. Okay, so it will think. It will think, and yes, so it already knows it has to use this tool. Yes, I want to proceed, run it. Converting. Do I want to save it? Yes, I want to save it. I prefer to confirm everything. Okay, so yes, so the Dockerfile has been successfully converted and the key changes made. It will let you know what it changed. It changed from Python 3.9 and Slim to 3.9 dev. Changed it to APK, added user roots, maintain a multi-stage build structure. That is important. Yes, so now let's, oh, yes, okay, work. Yes. Let's see. It should be the same as we did before. Yes, everything the same way, that the right way, what we expected it to be. And this is great because I was a bit unfamiliar with how Claude worked, how MCP service worked at all, and I thought I just added it once to a project. I thought it would be system-wide. Then I went to another project and asked it to convert, and it was not using the MCP server, and it did it all wrong. by itself. Claude does not know the details, how to convert the best way. So if you plan to use Claude and other AI agents, it's a good idea to use the DFC to install, to connect to the MCP server, because it will make a big difference. And it can be, it looks like it's not necessary much, but this is a simple example. If you have many Docker files to convert, then it's super helpful. And also, if you have some more complicated Docker files, it can be also helpful. So yeah, another way to use. Oh, so here is the thing. Lisa talked a little bit about this, and we are soon to have our Chainguard community Slack open to the public. You can use this QR code, this link, to sign up today for when we release it, or when it goes public. And this is the link, the QR code, and you can use for that. We are going to open for Q&A. And so I don't know if there are already any questions, but yes, so the next slide is the Q&A slide. Yes, so I will leave the QR code here, just in case, and we are going to open for Q&A now. Feel free to ask anything about Chainguard containers. If you have other questions around this, also DFC or Chainguard containers, feel free to ask them. There's okay, I see a few questions in the Q&A. Yeah.
Yeah, there are a few questions, and there's more coming in. I answered a few, but you may want to add some more context to some of them since you're the expert too.
Okay, let me see. It's from the top? Yes, from the top. No, it's from the bottom. It's from the bottom? Yes, from the bottom, right?
Maybe I answered the ones on the bottom.
Okay. I see now. I understand. Okay. Getting used to the platform.
There's also a raised hand. Do you want me to?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes. So ASIC and
Hi.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, I saw that you created the MCP server using Claude. We were just curious, can we create the MCP server, the same thing using GitHub Copilot, like instead of using Claude? Because in our enterprise, we only use Copilot. So is there any plan to test that out?
So the MCP server is like a standard implementation that should work with all AI code agents. So I know Copilot from using it on my IDE, but I think there is an agent on the CI/CD platform somewhere on the platform, but I'm not familiar how it works to connect with an MCP server. I know GitHub itself has GitHub Copilot. I think has an MCP server that you can connect to your AI agents. I only have Claude. I have only tested it with Claude, but it should work with also what's the other? There is some, forgot the name now. On the GitHub README, they have the other instructions for the other one that is very popular. I forgot the names.
Thank you. Yeah, no worries. I think so. For the one which you showed, is there a link that we can follow and try on our personal laptop or using Claude itself to test this out?
Yes. I was just looking at the name of the other, something with Wave or no? No, okay. We have more detailed instructions on the getting started with DFC course that we have. So we are updating the docs to include the specific instructions for the MCP server, but you can refer to the documentation as well. Cursor, yeah, that was the one I think I'm trying to remember that name. Yes, works with Cursor too. And the course, the Getting Started that Lisa just shared, it has more detailed instructions on how to use this MCP server integration. And the docs will be updated to include those as well. So if you go to edu, we have the link also. Can I?
Yeah, I could grab the link for
Erica. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, so the course is totally free to sign up for, and it is like a longer course, and Erica made the course too. And then I will link the documentation, which I think I linked in some of the answers. But if there's anything, I mean, the MCP feature is pretty new. So if there is any feedback, feel free to file an issue on the GitHub, or we'll share that back with the team too.
Are we getting sufficient enough? Let us know.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
We want to roll this out the enterprise-wide, so that's the reason we are asking. Thank you.
DFC is offline. What about package installations that might require online connection? Because DFC, what DFC will do, it will convert your Dockerfile. It's not connecting to anything. You have to build the Dockerfile afterwards to check if everything works. It doesn't build the Dockerfile. It doesn't build the image. It will only convert the Dockerfile. So you still have an offline. You have an offline operation, and then after the Dockerfile is converted, you can build the converted Dockerfile to see if everything works. Because also, if we have a mappings file, and there is lots of packages there, mappings, different names. But if you use like apt install and some gibberish, it will convert and will keep the gibberish because it cannot find a package with that name on the custom mappings or in the internal mappings. So it will not check or validate this on a live repo because that would not be performative enough. So it was a decision to keep it offline. It doesn't need to connect to anything. It will work on the best effort to convert with the information we know about packages and images. I hope that answered the question. How to access the MCP server? So you just need to add it in your code agent. It depends how to add the MCP server. Your code agent like Cursor will have different instructions than Claude's, but it should work because it's a standard kind of protocol. So it should connect to any agent the same way. Let me see if there are any others. Instead of using Claude, can we create an MCP server using Copilot agents? Oh, this is what we were talking about, right? Yes. So I'm not sure how Copilot works with MCP. I know they have I mentioned already. I think there is an MCP Copilot, but MCP server for Copilot, but the agent itself, I don't know how it works, so I cannot answer that. Any alternative tools, techniques for migration for using Chainguard containers or the DFC? We have actually a very comprehensive migration section on Chainguard Academy, and there are many details there on how to manually convert your Docker files. And basically, what DFC does is apply these rules in a programmatic way to facilitate this process. But what you need to do is basically the same. You will need to figure out the equivalent image you should use, figure out if you should use a distroless, if you can use a distroless, or you should need a full image that has APK and shell, and add the user root instruction when you have package installations, because most images run as non-root. And then there are few package names that will change. So there are like these 4 things that are very important when you migrate to Chainguard containers. And then, yeah, DFC just helps streamline this process so you can run it, have a quick check if everything looks good, and build and try to see if it works. And it's been very useful for many customers, many users. Okay, let me see here. I think I don't see any new questions not answered. Let me see the chat. Okay. Yeah, so the migration, yeah, Lisa shared, the migration section there's also a quick start. There's a little checklist you can see and can help with that. Any other question? That's our main goal, and it was really energizing talking to people. I'm new using Chainguard images. Can I always use Chainguard latest images? So we have a collection of free tier images in the free tier. So these will always be available in the latest version for free. And this they cover like language ecosystems, databases, also like web servers. So it has a wide range of images that you can use in the free tier on the latest version. And one tip is to use digester bots if you don't want to use the latest tag, which is understandable. Some people don't want to be on the edge on the latest version. You can use the digest of the image. So this will point your from line instead of pointing only to the image and the tag latest. You're gonna use a digest. So this is a reference to a specific build of an image. So you know for sure it will always be the same. It is useful for reproducible builds. If you use a digest, then you know for sure that that base image specifically, what you have on a Dockerfile is another story, but the base images will be always the same because it's the same builds. But then you have the issue of updating the digest when you want a new version. So you can use digest bots, which is a GitHub action that you can set up in your repo, and it will create a pull request automatically when there is a new release, a new version of the image. So the digest has changed, and then you can look at the changes and decide if you want to update or not. But it's a tip for if you don't want to use the latest, you can do this, and it's a good strategy. I think we are coming to an end very soon, so I will open the thank you slides. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Check out Chainguard Academy, edu.chainguard.dev. If you want to get in touch, you can email me at erica@chainguard.dev. Thank you very much. Lisa?
Yes, thank you so much for coming. And some of these conversations, I think we could continue on the Chainguard Slack as well if you'd like to join. There were some of those questions I did send back to the product and internal teams about the MCP server. So we will provide updates when we have them on there. Thank you so much, Erica. And thanks, everybody. See you all soon.
Thank you. Bye, y'all.